Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today we have a returning guest, V. You can find V on roguemoneynews.net. You can find him on Twitter. You can find him on YouTube. And I am very happy to have V back on the X22 Report Spotlight. V, welcome back to the Spotlight.
Great to be back in the Spotlight. And it's we changed our URL, man. We are officially roguenews.com.
Oh, okay. Rogue.
Yeah, we started to learn we're covering more than just money these days.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so.
I wanted to start off this whole conversation with what's happening with censorship. We see Facebook was in trouble. Trump is calling out Google and pointing certain things out. I mean, how bad is censorship right now? And why should people be worried about censorship?
I mean, when you look at so-called private companies, and there's really nothing private about them. I mean, you talk about these companies who are really behaving like public utilities in a large sense, okay, that they need to be broken apart. And they're out there. These are companies that have gotten, taxpayer subsidiary, subsidies. They're the ones who've gotten regulations and licensure that have been waived in order for them to exist. And then they've had regulations and legislations put in place to make sure that any sort of competitor could not really challenge them. And when you have that sort of a monopoly in place, censorship becomes a very, very dangerous thing. Then unless we as the public at large begin to rapidly and with courage and boldly with vigor and vim, and not with laziness and being caught in some sort of rote or routine, stay where we are, but with vigor and vim, move to alternative platforms, be willing to put our time, our talent, our treasure with the creators, the content purveyors that we like and that we adhere to, who share our viewpoints. Unless we are willing to back them up wholeheartedly, then we're all going to be victimized by the Scroogles of the world, the YouTubes and the Twits that are running the show. These Silicon Valley mavens, Dave, that, at one time you go to Silicon Valley, you launch a company, you do very well, you become a success. All you wanted was a big house, some fast cars, a yacht, and that's all you wanted. Nowadays, the Silicon Valley mavens, that's not enough for them anymore. The money, the wealth, the fame, that's not enough. They want the power, Dave. They want to sit at the throne, at the foot of the throne of tyranny, and eat from the table of tyrants. And that's where we are today, Dave. And that's why we need to move. Tyranny, you know what? That whole blowback with Trump is going to do something. I really feel it in my bones. And Dave, I know you do it as well. I feel it in my bones, man. I think the social media companies, I think Silicon, that's what I like to call them, Dave, Silicon Valley, because they are silly, has really stepped on a landmine with the censorship of not only just Alex Jones, but any sort of dissenting voice that's out there. I think they stepped on it, and I think not only is Trump's going to move against them, but the majority of the American people is going to move along and get rid of these guys, man. I think it's high time that this happens.
Do you think eventually that these companies, will they be regulated? Or do you think there'll be like an Internet Bill of Rights? I mean, I know there's a petition up right now on the whitehouse.gov for that, but do you think eventually is that?
I mean, when you look at it this way, right? When these companies are such a part of our lexicon, I mean, think about it, right? Oh, go look it up on the internet. Where are you going to go? Google. In fact, the word Google it has become part of our lexicon. Why don't you go Google that? I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, there was one time where it's so prevalent that a company practically owns search. Nobody goes to you, Dave, and say, hey, Dave, why don't you go Bing it? Why don't you go Yahoo that one, Dave? Why don't you look it up on AOL? Nobody does that. Everybody tells you to go Google it. And that's the problem. These companies can't say that they're private companies and then go ahead and start censoring and banning and doing all these things, because if you're a media platform, that you're a private company and you're going out and censoring and doing all these other things, then at that point, my friend, you are a publisher, because you are curating what I can see and what I cannot see through censure. And that means that you fall under a completely different dictum. And you shouldn't have gotten all these taxpayer subsidiaries. You shouldn't have gotten all these laxing of regulations and licensure. It's a different ballgame. And then there's a whole bunch of legal ramifications as to that, because these are content creators who are putting their intellectual property on your platform, and you're curating it, and that's not how it works. So yeah, I think regulation it's going to come down. I think it's going to come down hard on these guys.
Yeah, I think that's where they're trying to move this whole thing towards, and I think this is why Trump started to do this with Google, and we know that Facebook got in trouble for selling information, even though they say they really didn't, but they did.
Dave, did you hear about Yahoo this morning?
No. What about Yahoo?
Yahoo, it's come out this morning that Yahoo and AOL, after getting in trouble for selling customer data, right? It came out today that they're still doing it. That Yahoo is still skimming through the tens of people. Now, I didn't say tens of thousands, Dave, but I said the tens of people that still have Yahoo emails. They're skimming through those emails looking for receipts, purchases, things of that sort, to sell that data without their email clientele knowing or being alerted to third parties. And this is the problem. You see this, just like you said, with Facebook as well. It's terrible. They don't stop. They can't help it because we're the merchandise.
That is true. I wanted to move the discussion over to the Inspector General report, the FISA, Clinton emails, and this feud between Sessions and Trump. What's the game here? I mean, are we ever going to hear the truth? Is this all going to come out? I know Trump has been tweeting a lot, but about all of this, but do you think it's almost time where this is actually going to hit mainstream?
Here's the deal. I think I really feel this, Dave, and if it doesn't happen, I'll be surprised. But I think going into the midterm elections, I think some big news is going to pop from now and going into the midterms, because I think something so huge and heinous is going to start really erupting out from the surface and into the limelight, where it simply cannot be ignored. Okay, we look at what happened. The fact that Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails, save for 2, all 33,000 of them wound up on a server that was siphoned to a Chinese company that is based in Northern Virginia, a Chinese front company that is owned by the Chinese government. Top secret information was on there. The fact that most experts are saying this was not a hack, this was simply just willfully taken, and that's one of the theories that I postulated years ago when the whole Hillary Clinton server scandal started coming out, is that she willingly, that this was an operation that she willingly put it there saying, oh, look, I got hacked. But she was selling secrets. There's no doubt about it. Okay, selling secrets. And the fact that this information has come out, and the fact that the FBI is denying that, hey, you know what, there's the Hillary Clinton server did not get hacked. The fact that they did not even look. They did not even look at Anthony Weiner's laptop and all the tens of thousands of emails that are on Weiner's laptop. They haven't even looked at that, Dave. It is something that is remarkable, and I think something's going to happen that's going to demoralize the far left. It's going to demoralize, the entire establishment, and I think we're going to see a red wave and a blue sprinkle, my friend.
So who has Weiner's laptop? Do we know who has Weiner's laptop or Clinton's server?
We know that the FBI has Weiner's laptop, and all the files that were in that laptop were copied and held in possession with the NYPD. And from what I heard is that the NYPD has given it to the white hats, or the quote-unquote good guys that are in government. That is what I've heard from multiple sources, Dave. Some very close, and some that are even working in government itself have said that to me, that they in fact do have the data. I mean, look at the indictment count, man. 45,000 indictments, sealed indictments, and growing. It's just ridiculous. I mean, a typical presidential term, you'll have 500 indictments, maybe 1,200 at the most. That's it. Nobody sits around and has 45,000 indictments sealed. some sort of a mass arrest event coming, and you cannot deny that. Something's afoot here, Dave. Something's afoot, and I think it's for the positive.
Yeah, I think it's for the positive too, and I've noticed that Trump has been tweeting out quite a bit about Bruce Orr, about Clinton, about all of this. I don't know if he's foreshadowing or he's getting the public ready for all of this, but when it does hit, those people that are sleeping, those people that haven't been following, who've been rejecting it all this time, are you nervous about, people rioting, Antifa, and groups like that, trying to push, some type of, civil war in America?
Well, the specter of civil discord and civil unrest and civil war is always there. But I think what's going to happen is going to be something more than just, Hillary Clinton sold secrets. I think in order for the air to come out of the opposition, in order for the mass amount of this, oppressor versus oppressed nonsense that is the far left opposition feeds on, in order for that to go, something that is so horrific, so heinous, so, dare I use the word, evil, has to come to the surface, that if you choose to defend it, you yourself are throwing in your cards. You yourself are throwing in your hat in the ring with some of the most evil, heinous acts in human history. And I think the propensity for that is very true. So the way you stop civil war from happening is you don't make it about politics anymore. You bring it down to the very core essence of humanity, and that is good versus evil. I think the truths that are about to come out, Dave, I think they supersede politics. I think they supersede, typical left and right wing rhetoric. I think we're entering into an era where it is going to cut to the core of who we are as humanity, of what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is evil. And there will be such a moral outrage that any brain-dead, twisted member of Pantifa would be terrified to death to even stand in opposition to the outrage that the American public would feel. And I think that is a very strong possibility come this fall, Dave. I think it's pretty serious because, let's be honest, the presidency cannot afford to lose the House, and cannot afford to do that. But it has to be an overwhelming victory, and some big news. In order for an overwhelming victory to occur, a major piece of demoralizing, deflating, defeatist information and truth will and should be coming out that absolutely hamstrings the opposition. I think that's what we're headed to. I think there's a strong possibility of that, Dave.
And do you think this is going to come before the elections? You think they're going to put this out there before that time?
Yep, I think so. And I think it's going to be so earth-shattering. I think it's going to be so huge that you simply cannot ignore it. You simply cannot go to a voting booth with your finger going towards Democrat without stopping and pausing and then switching to Republican or Independent or Libertarian. Because I think what is going to happen, it has to happen before the midterms. Now, if nothing happens, Dave, I'll tell you right now, here's panic mode. People want to say, hey, V, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is this, okay? And we're, I've stopped giving timelines a long time ago because I think right now we're in the stage of the game where everything right now is event driven, right? If we go to the voting booths in November for the midterms and we vote, and the next thing you know, there was a quote, and I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, a blue wave, a sweep of the House and Senate, and it becomes filled with Democrats. Okay, it becomes filled with Democrats. The president and his party loses the House and the Senate. None of the bad news comes out. Then we're in a whole heap of trouble. then the freedom-loving people should start really panicking, because then this real specter of civil war raises its ugly head. Battle lines will be drawn, and there will be people considering, how do I exit stage right? How do I get my family out of harm's way? And then we're back in the type of panic mode, the type of vigilance and emergency state of situation that we were all in, Dave, under the Obama administration. I remember those days of 2015, 2016. I mean, we're biting our nails, man. I'm like, oh my God, this man's gonna wreck the country. When is the ICBM going to land on top of my house? It was just like that. I think that level of panic will be very real. So that's why this midterm election, folks, is super, super important.
Let's switch subjects to what's happening out in North Korea, the Middle East, and why Trump decided to keep Pompeo from going to North Korea. I mean, he was supposed to meet with Kim Jong-un and, talk about peace, and all of a sudden it was called off. And we see, I think it was today, where Trump is saying, listen, we're going to continue with drills. We're going to do whatever we have to do, and we don't care what North Korea says. Are we moving towards war, or what is he doing here?
I think it's posturing. It's more tough negotiations. From what I heard in the background is that the trade spate that has happened and that has occurred between the United States and China. China has some sort of alternative deal that they're trying to strike with the North Koreans that it doesn't have, I guess, the best interests of all parties in mind. And that is why we're walking back, or appears to be walking back, the deal. So for those of out there that are saying that this North Korean deal is done, it's over, it's a lost cause, I would just tell everybody right now, just hold still. Don't try to count your chickens before they hatch, and let's give it some time. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when people were thinking that Trump's going to, launch a Minuteman missile over into Pyongyang, and it'll be the start and advent of World War III. And that didn't happen. It was a complete reversal. It was a major geopolitical, diplomatic win. And I think this is the same thing. I think there's some tough negotiation, because it's just not North Korea that we're dealing with out there. I think it's also China. And trying to work between these two powers for what's best and what's fair and what's equitable for everybody involved. I think that's the bigger play here.
Trump exchanges letters with Kim Jong-un. Why are they going back to paper and pen or typewritten letters? Why aren't they using, the phone? Why aren't they using electronic communications? Why are they exchanging letters back and forth?
Because it's intimate and it's romantic. just kidding. We all know why. I mean, think about it. This is why I said let's just wait and see, right? Because Trump has been communicating with Un via paper. Trump has been communicating with Putin via paper and pen. Why? Because if you know anything about Donald Trump and being a New Yorker, okay, folks don't realize this. Trump's never used email. From the time he was a real estate mogul here in Manhattan, the guy delivered messages via paper, via message courier services, the bike messengers that we have running around, pedaling all over the place in New York, cutting you off and jumping in front of the kebab carts over here. That's how he's always been doing it. But it's also brilliant in the sense that, number two, that you're not leaving a digital paper trail. So in other words, the deep state backstabbers, the deep state ne'er-do-wells that are inhabiting the White House, that are inhabiting, Washington, D.C., the haunt of demonic miscreants that are there in D.C., it avoids them. This way, Trump can get his ideas conveyed very closely and very concisely and very clearly with those involved without any of this hacking and leaking that are happening. So, folks, Trump is playing his cards close to the chest. You're not going to, things that people are. I mean, haven't we learned already not to have a knee-jerk reaction with this administration, right? I mean, I've been guilty of it. This guy's going to screw everything up. And then, okay, all right, so everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's fantastic. It's fine. Okay, good. I think that's the attitude that I think people need to have is a wait and see attitude. Okay. Oftentimes we're so obsessed with our dogma. And folks, we're not in a dogmatic world. There's a lot, and literally it is. It is it's such an often abused term, 3-dimensional chess. But I like to call this 3-dimensional poker. And that's what we're facing here. There's a lot of feints. There's a lot of fakes. There's a lot of disinfo on both sides. And I think that people need to be wise and people need to be vigilant and discerning. And most importantly, to be pragmatic and patient. I think that's the critical thing. And let's see what plays out. Because right now, Dave, the way I see it, everything's in flux. Everything's in flux. And I, like I said before, the panic mode happens come the midterm elections. The midterm elections come and we all lose and lose big. Then you can panic. Then you have the right to panic. You have the right to boop, 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 boop. Hello, honey. Yeah, those plans about moving to Thailand. Yeah, let's talk about that. Then you got the right to do that, right? But up until that point, let's just be patient. Let's see what plays out. Because I think, as well as you do as well, Dave, we both get a sense of feeling from everything that we're garnering and every source that we talk to and every person that have their finger to the pulse on these type of things. We all get the same feeling that, hey, something is brewing under the surface. I can't tell what it is or how it's going to look like, but something big is about to happen. There's no doubt about it.
I agree. What about Syria? I mean, we're hearing information that's coming out right now that there's a false flag, the white helmets are involved, the terrorists are involved, they're preparing another chemical attack. Is this the deep state? I mean, what is happening there?
It's definitely another deep state operation. This is clandestine. This is worked through other actors. Now, folks got to understand, the U.S. is not the only actor in Syria. And neither are the Syrians nor the Russians. People look at the Middle East and think it's okay. It's the U.S. Why doesn't the president just call back the CIA? Why can't he do this? Why can't he do that? People don't understand how convoluted, how corrupt and convoluted the entire setup of the Middle East and what it looks like. Folks, it's not just us that's there. You got the Saudis that are there. And when I talk to most people, that the Saudis and the Iranians, they've been having a proxy war for the last 30, 40 some odd years. Well, the last 40 some odd years, they're having a proxy war. Okay? That back in 2014, when I reported this on Rogue Money, and I said this on my show, there was, back in 2014, a meeting between the Iranians and all their proxies and the Saudis and then all their proxies in Algeria. And they were hammering out some of the details of what was going on with the Syrian conflict back in 2014. So you have to understand that just because the white helmets are there, quote unquote white helmets, you could put anybody in a white helmet. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they're all interchangeable. White helmets, Red Crescent, yellow helmets, black scarves, whatever the hell you want to call them, they're all interchangeable, right? The question is, who is funding it? Who's behind it? Is it the Saudis? Is it the UAE, which is a major financial player in the Middle East, the United Arab Emirates? People don't know that. People don't know that the UAE, especially Dubai, people go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and they see, oh my God, the most beautiful real estate, these tall towers. Those tall towers are there because the UAE, my friend, is the largest money laundering operation in the entire Middle East. It's the UAE. So who's funding these guys, these white helmets? Is it us? Is it somebody else? And why? I mean, think about this, right? Why would Mattis come out and say, hey, you know what? We feel a strong chance that Assad might gas his people. Which, in explanation number one, to most of the Kool-Aid drinkers will say, there you go, Assad's going to go gas his people again. But to those in the know, it can be a way of signaling, hey, get heads up, guys, we sense another false flag coming. Right? Because let's be honest, apart from shooting at empty buildings and landing missiles on the beach. We haven't, and hitting an empty airfield. We haven't done anything in terms of Syria. We really haven't. Not since this administration taken over. There hasn't been any overt anything. Everybody's been talking about overt actions in Syria, and I'm connected to a lot of Syrians that are on the ground. In fact, part of my lineage going back on my mother's side is from Syria. So, based on the context that I have over there, we're not seeing any of this. Oh my God, there's a false flag coming. The U.S. is involved. Hold on. Now you might say, oh yeah, the CIA funded. What part of the CIA? Where did the funding come from? Who cut the checks? Is it us? Is it really us? Or is it a fifth column? Or is it the Saudis working with the fifth column? Or is it the Saudis and the UAE, the Emirates, bankrolling the operation? Is that what it is? Because they want to create a political need for us to lend our muscle unwillingly. Is that what's happening? So there's many layers to this, folks. It's not black and white. And this is what people need to understand about the geostrategic game. It is not black and white. White hats, yellow hats, black hats, white helmets, yellow helmets, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Nusra. Insert name here. They're all interchangeable. The fact is, where's the money coming from? Who's funding it? Who's financing it? Because it might not be us. It might not be us. So don't be so quick. How can Trump allow this? How can he allow the white helmets back in? Maybe it wasn't Trump. Maybe it wasn't the U.S. Have you thought about the damn Saudis? Have you thought about the crooked United Arab Emirates? Have you thought about those characters? Because those are some of the things that people need to think about. It's a grand game, Dave. It's a grand game. But yeah, but the fact that the information is out there, that there's some sort of a false flag, that's a good thing. Because the Russians warned about it as well. And so now the Russians are talking about it, and the U.S. is talking about it, right? That there's a potential for this. So in other words, now all of a sudden these secret false flag members. Think about it. How did we all know that there are all of a sudden 12 to 24 specialist individuals that have appeared out of nowhere at Idlib? How did we know about that? If it were not for the fact that this information is being leaked by who? The White Hats. And one of the things that Trump has said is that our military is in constant and good communication with the Russian military. They're working hand in hand. So let not your hearts be troubled. You got nothing to freak out. Don't freak out. Nothing to freak out about, not yet.
Do you think the troops are going to be pulled out of Syria? I mean, Trump mentioned this a while back. Do you think they're eventually going to be pulling the troops out? Because we could see the paid mercenary, the Islamic State, Al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda. I mean, they're dwindling to almost nothing.
Eventually, we will be pulled out. I think that would happen. People will say, you're a crazy Kool-Aid drinker. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, calm it down. I think we will. I think we will, because there's no need to be. But you see, we can't pull out now because there's just way too many deep state actors. Just way too many things that can go wrong. So you got to understand, there's a lot of crazies in the Middle East. Okay, there's a lot of crazies. So the U.S. and the Russians are there. People look. Here's the thing. On the surface, it looks like World War III is going to happen. Oh my God, it's gonna happen right now. Albert Pike, Dave. He wrote about it in Morals and Dogma. He wrote about it, Dave. Back in 3 world wars, right? Albert Pike. Hold on. That's on the surface. That's on the conspiratard surface. But when you get below into the geostrategic, the fact that the U.S. and the Russians are there together, believe it or not, folks, it's a great thing. It's a good thing. It keeps the crazies from blowing up everything. It keeps the stability there. The U.S. and the Russians know this. They are, trust me on this, they are working together. There is communication between the Russian military and the United States military. They are in cahoots. They are in cooperation. Remember the article that was leaked years ago by Seymour Hersh. Remember that, Dave? Right?
Yeah.
By Cy Hersh. He leaked the information. It was called the Pentagon Papers. What was the Pentagon Papers? It was basically the U.S. DOD, the Department of Defense, leaking information to the Russians, letting them know, hey, ISIS is here. Hey, Yeah, the rogue elements in our government as funding ISIS, training ISIS, providing material support for ISIS. The money's also coming from the Saudis. Here's their next attack. Let's coordinate on stopping it. That's the beauty of so the real evidence. The real evidence, time and time and time again, is when you get behind the hoopla, and you get behind the hype, you get behind the rhetoric, you actually see there's a lot of coordination that occurs. There is a lot of coordination. And I think, it's too early to freak out. Let's just stay calm.
Let's move on to cryptocurrency and the economy. Let's start off with cryptocurrency. We've seen Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin has come down quite a bit. And then it kind of drove a lot of the other coins down with it. And we see that, it bobs up, it bobs down. Is this being manipulated in some way?
Oh yeah, the way they do it is, they can't manipulate it to the full ordeal as they do with gold and silver. But what happens is that, a lot of the Bitcoin, a lot of the BTC is owned by some private individuals, some private institutions that have gotten in early into the crypto space. And what they're doing is they're manipulating it through the exchanges by dumping it here and there, and then buying it on the as the price dips, the money or the wealth or the Bitcoin or the cryptos move from the weaker hands to the stronger hands, and they're buying it up. So I can tell you from somebody who works in the crypto space, we have our trading room. It's a trader's market. A lot of people, if you're just a hodler and you're missing out, you're like, oh, I missed the whole thing. When Bitcoin was $20,000, now it's around $6,900 or $7,000, and I'm all depressed. There's no point for me to get involved. But every day there are people in our trading room, Dave, that are killing it. In fact, we have an affiliate program with X22 Report. Folks can go on there. It's a trader's market, and we've had people that have quit their day jobs and they're trading cryptos. There's so much money to be made in trading. But what the traders love is volatility. But I will tell you right now, Dave, that's the trading aspect of crypto. It's doing great. But we also work on the OTC market. The OTC is the over-the-counter. So when we have a large whale, Dave, come through and he wants to dump his Bitcoin, right, or he wants to sell it off because he wants to take a profit, he wants to sell it off, he's not going to go to an exchange. He's not going to go to Coinbase or Kraken or any one of these other exchanges and try to sell his Bitcoin, because what's going to happen is you have what's called slippage, okay, where if he's got 100,000 Bitcoins, if he's trying to dump it, he's trying to sell it off, as he's unloading onto the platform, it's causing the price of Bitcoin to dip. So he doesn't want that. So he's going to be losing money by the time he offloads everything. He's going to be at a loss. So he doesn't want to do that. So a lot of the large whales, and we deal with them. We've been dealing with clients who have 300,000 Bitcoins, not $300,000, but 300,000 Bitcoins. So each Bitcoin's at almost, let's say, rounded up $7,000 a piece. So 300,000 of those. And we're talking about billions of dollars here, Dave. Another client, 500,000 Bitcoins. And these clients are moving, and we're involved in the process of getting these things liquidated and getting it done, and setting up the buyer, seller, the escrows. There's a lot happening, and I can tell you right now, folks. Okay, when you get out of the world of let me see what's going on with Bitcoin news and cryptocurrency news, blip, 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 you go to such and such a website. Yeah, you're not getting the full picture. It's when you're behind the scenes, like what we're doing, and we're seeing, 100,000 Bitcoins come through, 300,000, 1 million Bitcoins coming through on a platform to get liquidated, to buy and sell. You see the movement of buying and selling. They're buying and selling. A guy comes in, he wants to sell 100,000 Bitcoins, and he has a buyer right there. We have buyers buying 10, 20, 30,000 Bitcoins a day. 30,000, not $30,000, folks. 30,000 Bitcoins. Do the math in your head. That's over $1 billion. It's this asinine amount of money, Dave, right? So You're seeing all this stuff happen, and you're like, wow, the crypto market is a lot more robust and extremely liquid than what a lot of people think it is. Like when you go to the OTC world, oh my God, the amount of liquidity that is sloshing around there will make you puke, okay? So cryptocurrencies look, let's be honest here. We don't need 2,000 cryptos. I think 98% of these cryptos are not going to exist in the next few years. I think most of them that wrote these wonderful, fantasy Star Trek filled type white papers trying to get their ICOs done, those guys are done. And BTC is doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is it's starting to be number one, a store of value. Number two, it's especially with the new Lightning Network that's going to be fully adapted by Bitcoin and started utilized. It's going to be a faster means of exchange eventually, And there's also other amazing cryptos that are or what people call altcoins that are coming up. That people in our trade room, Dave, and people in the X22 trade room that we help with, that we're involved with, they're like certain platforms, like certain altcoins and exchanges and ICOs that have done where people have doubled and tripled their money. There's always money to be made, folks, okay? People have this idea. Well, folks, here's the deal. The greatest fortunes in history have always been made in economic downturns. The greatest fortunes, okay? The millionaires and billionaires of tomorrow will be made by the bear markets of today, the volatility of today, the things that cause most people to lose their lunch and lose their sleep. That's what separates the rock stars from the groupies. And right now it's a trader's market on the front end. It's a trader's market. If you know how to trade cryptos, if you don't know how to trade cryptos, come on in with our trading group. We have an X22 trading group specifically for X22 clients. You can make ridiculous money. And to be honest with you, it's on the long-term play, cryptocurrencies are great to have. And Dave, we're going to soon be offering on our website, liquidbase.io. People will be able to buy gold, silver, and Bitcoin together. So if you got $500, you can buy $500 worth of Bitcoin, silver, and gold.
Wow.
So you'll have it, and we'll ship it directly to the front door of your house, and the Bitcoin will be on a paper wallet. But the paper wallet, of course, is going to be emblazoned. It's going to be like on a plastic credit card with the Bitcoin wallet address, your own private key code, and we'll send it to you. You'll have it. It's yours. Okay, so pretty amazing things that are happening. So it's a great time. Cryptos are great. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, folks. It really isn't.
I mean, with the crypto market, are the central bankers, are they still worried about the cryptocurrency becoming maybe a local currency? Because we see other countries are looking at it and, they're starting to use it.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. The second most popular currency in Japan, which is the third largest economy in the world and the second biggest equities market on the planet, the cryptocurrency, the second most popular currency in Japan is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most popular currency, the second most widely used currency in Japan apart from the yen. So yes, and there's also regional currencies. There's ideas that people want to, like, for instance, there's a cryptocurrency called Ven that, from what I'm hearing, is a lot of the Chinese mega cities. They want to start incorporating Ven as a tokenized way of payment for a bunch of different products and services within that local city. So this is the kind of things that governments and central bankers are terrified of, and I think this is a trend that they are trying to control. But in the long term, I don't think they can control it because things are becoming more and more decentralized.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to move into the economy here and talk about, the GDP numbers. We're seeing 4% or higher. The economy, according to Trump, is doing fantastically. I mean, why is he out there pointing to the stock market, telling us the economy is doing great? I mean, has anything really changed in the way we calculate these things or what's really going on? I mean, what's the plan here? I mean, is the economy really all of a sudden doing that much better?
No, I think it's political talk, man. It's political talk because let's be honest here. The average American doesn't understand what a stock market bubble is, right? I mean, let's be honest here. The average American, when he turns on MSLSD or when he turns on CNBS or any one of these business news shows, right? They're told numbers of, it's in the millions, it's in the billions, it's in the trillions, millions, billions, trillions, millions, billions, trillions, trillions, billions, millions, all over and over and over and again. The problem is we don't have any quantifiable measure. So we're just thinking on it too. Oh, our debt's only 20 trillion. Big deal. Most people don't understand this, and that's why I like to put it in terms of time. And I always tell all people this: how much is a million seconds? A million seconds is 12 days. How much is a billion seconds? And people are like, oh, I don't know what, 30 days? No, it's 32 years. How much is a trillion seconds? 50 years? No, it's 300 years. So that kind of brings people into scope. So the average American doesn't understand, hey, you know what, they don't understand that, hey, you know what, the stock market is a bubble. And they don't understand why it's in a bubble. They don't understand the causation of the bubble. They have no clue about it. They don't understand that our GDP numbers are cooked, that the real accounting has been re-engineered back in the early 80s, that they don't understand the fact that, hey, you know what, there's still 95 million Americans that are permanently unemployed. They don't understand the fact that there's 42 million that are on food stamps. They don't understand the fact that there's still about 100 million that are receiving some sort of government handout, a welfare program of some sort. And they don't understand that, like, what is it, like 3 out of every 5 kids in America, or it's about 25 to 30% of children in America go to sleep every night with food insecurity. They don't understand those numbers because everybody's in on the phantom numbers, because we have a phantom wealth effect, right? So if Trump came out and be like, hey, guys, here's the real deal about the economy. It sucks. It really blows. It's crappy. It's horrible. There's nothing that can be done about it, okay? If he were to come out and say those things, Dave, then what's going to happen? He's going to crush sentiment. Why? Because economy is not only dependent upon let's say real physical labor and a real physical economy with real production and real output, but it's also dependent upon emotions. And we're still a consumer economy. So if you were to come out and say, hey, the economy sucks, it's terrible, the stock market, the points will drop, everybody will get depressed, it will cause a lot more havoc. So people need to feel good, then use the momentum of the bubble to actually start infrastructure projects and start building out manufacturing, start implementing a real physical economy. That's what people don't understand. See, this is why I said people need to get out of dogma and get into pragmatism. If Trump, Trump's smart. He looks at the bubble and he says, okay, well, this is a friggin' bubble. He knows it's a bubble, right? People, oh, look, he flipped the script. Now he's saying the bubble's good. He's saying the stock market is good. That's a sign of wealth. He knows it's fake, but he cannot tell you how fake it is because, you know what? He doesn't want to crush the bubble yet. But he's trying to use the bubble, okay, number one. The phantom wealth effect, it has its uses, all right? It has its uses. You create the bubble, but at the same time, what is he doing, Dave? He's cutting regulations. He's reducing taxes. He's making this country, again, the most attractive country in the world to invest in. And what's happening? He's trying to bring back business. There's over $10 trillion offshore that is slowly starting to leak back in. He's doing that by creating what? The power of sentiment, the power of emotions, the power of perception, the power of mass groupthink, saying, hey, you know what? Wow, things are great. I actually feel good about myself. Oh, look, the phantom economy just gave me more fiat currency in my weekly paycheck. Oh, the phantom economy helped my 401k go up 25%. Oh, I'm happy about that. The average Joe needs that because when he sees the good, positive feelings that he's getting, and now the regulations are being cut, they're being trimmed, and now physical. What is he doing? Trump is not, look, the good guys will pull the rug on the fictitious economy. I know that for a fact. It's going to happen. But we cannot pull the rug right now until we get all these regulations out of the way, number one. And number two, we actually start building out and ramping up a physical economy. And I think that's the key here, folks. That's the key. So until that physical economy is really pumping and jumping, and now people are saying, hey, you know what? I'm feeling good. Yeah, that factory down the road, I'm going to go invest in it. I'm going to see the people with money need to feel good as well. The people in Wall Street, the investors, I'm not talking about the criminals that are running Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or anything like that, but I'm talking about the investors who have a 400,000, a million, 2 million, 50 million, 100 million sitting in a trading account will look at, oh, that business venture over there, I'm going to go invest in private equity. I'm going to go invest in private ventures. That's how you grow the economy. But you can't do that if you're going out there saying the economy sucks, it blows, it's garbage, it's going to crash tomorrow. Then what did you do to the country? You stonewalled it. You cannot cut your nose to spite your face. And that's what people need to understand. Guys, this is about being pragmatic. Let's be smart here. That's what the game is.
I mean, is his end game to go after the Fed and the central banks?
Yeah, they'll be done away with. You cannot build a physical economy and have a central bank that's out of control. The goal is, from what I'm hearing from the murmurings, is to bring the Fed under the control of the Treasury.
So basically, we're going to take control of the Fed, and it will no longer be a separate corporation.
Correct. It will not be a private bank with private aspirations, goals, and desires that are completely anathema and diametrically opposed to the country from which it is sitting in. That's going to get done away with.
So I don't want you to give me a specific time here, but I mean, is this going to happen within his first term, or if he gets elected for the second term, is it going to happen within his presidency?
Yeah, I think it will definitely happen in his presidency. I think it's going to happen by the second term. I think that's what we're looking at. I think step by step things are moving in the right direction. I mean, geez, you and I know what the hell's really going on in the economy, but damn, you talk to the average Joe on the street, he's more elated than ever. He's completely happy. You talk to guys who own businesses, you talk to guys who own construction companies, you talk to guys, they're all happy. They're all hiring. Dave, I'm seeing more and more now hiring signs all over the place, starting $17.25, $15, $18, $20. I mean, there are guys right now making $100K or almost $200,000 a year right now, and they can't fill the positions in the Texas oil fields, in these various natural gas areas, these energy companies and these energy firms that are hiring. They can't get enough people in for high-paying salaries. It's to the point where they're even asking, hey, you don't even need experience, we'll train you. I've never seen that before. Why? Because they believe in the sentiment. Belief is a powerful thing. The emotion. Do not underestimate the power of emotion. It is a powerful thing and is a powerful driver in the game that we call economics.
I agree with you. Hey, V, thank you very much for being on the X22 Report Spotlight. Once again, how can people see all your work?
Go to roguenews.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at RealRogueNews. And you can also catch me on Minds at VGorilla. That's GUERRILLA. That's VGUERRILLA at VGorilla. Yeah, that's it. On every single podcasting app, I think we're still running under the moniker Rogue Money. So if you type in Rogue Money to whatever podcasting app you're using, we're on Stitch, iTunes, Stitcher, Shoutcast. We're on all of them. So you can follow us there. And yeah, that's it. And now, of course, on YouTube, subscribe, like, share, comment, and subscribe to Dave's channel, X22 Report. We're big fans.
And if you're interested in the crypto school, you can go to the X22reportschool.com. I'll put all the links at the bottom of this video to make it a lot easier, and you just click on them and you can go right over to whatever section you want to go to. V, once again, thank you very much for being on the Spotlight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, Dave. I want to thank you for having me on. And folks, again, click on the link for the X22 school. Before you decide to go take a job at the Macy's perfume counter, spraying perfume into people's faces, come trade with us, make yourself some real money. And again, people's lives are being changed. Go to the X22 school. It's right there on the link. Click on it, join us, and let's have some fun.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.